flight. The mission is on. Relocation locked in.
Command are signaling that it's time to go. Comms out.
Fly with me. You don't want to get isolated.
Jump set, ready to go. Jump destination locked in.
Signal from command. Let battle commence.
Victory. As if there was ever any doubt.
You know, I've got to say this much about Fractured Space. When you see one of those pre-rendered trailers for a game, and yeah, Star Wars, The Old Republic, World of Warcraft, I'm looking squarely at you here. What you get when you actually start playing the game looks nothing like the trailer. And alright, nobody expects World of Warcraft to look like the trailer for their expansions, but we can't help but feeling a vague sense of being cheated all the same. That's not an accusation you can level at Fractured Space. What you see in the trailer is exactly what you get when you're playing the game. Initially the game was first pitched to me as a sort of World of Tanks in space, and obviously that caught my attention, but while there are certain similarities between Fractured Space and World of Tanks, they're both multiplayer online battle arena games after all. But the game's more like the new Battlestar Galactica got League of Legends drunk in a nightclub and then took it home for a quick threesome with Homeworld. Now, obviously, as you're probably aware if you're a long-time viewer of my channel, and you're probably not aware if you've just looked for a Fractured Space video on YouTube, I've actually visited the design studio of Edgecase Games several times, and I know the CEO, James Brooksby, quite well. I actually count him as quite a good personal friend, so obviously I'm going to say nice things about his game, but the thing is, it's really easy to say nice things about Fractured Space. And if you still think I'm trying to pull a fast one, don't take my word for it, go and have a look at the user reviews on Steam. Since this game went into early access, there have been over 6,000 reviews of Fractured Space, and 72% of them have been positive. And if you haven't had a go yet, well, there's absolutely nothing stopping you from doing it, because Fractured Space is coming out of early access and going live on Steam on the 22nd of September, and it's free to play. The game has exactly the same business model as World of Tanks, World of Warships. Well, not exactly the same business model as World of Tanks, there's no premium ammunition in Fractured Space. The same business model as League of Legends. It's free to play, free to download. The game supports itself with microtransactions and premium currency which can be used to unlock options on your ships faster. But the thing about Fractured Space that makes it more like League of Legends than World of Tanks or World of Warships is that no one ship is any better than any other. They're all just different. Some ships are very, very good for tanking damage. Some ships are very, very good for scouting. Some ships are good for harassing. Some ships are good long-range snipers. Some ships are ideal utility vessels. Some ships are stealthy and sneaky. Like the characters in League of Legends, Heroes of the Storm, and even Overwatch, there's no one ship in Fractured Space that's any better than any of the other ships. It's all just a question of finding the one that suits your playstyle and then getting good at it. This ship, for example, is the Titan Defense Systems Executioner. It's got two main weapon systems, the first of which is that thing right there, the Gauss Cannon. It does a lot of damage to a single target, but cannot fire quickly, and the guns don't track targets particularly well, so playstyle in the Executioner, which is a difficult ship to master, tends to revolve around positioning and then getting in close for that devastating strike. It's also armed with a set of Executioner missiles. Now they don't do a huge amount of damage, but they can fire very, very quickly. It fires a lot of them, and they're very, very fast, which tend to overwhelm the point defense systems of enemy targets. And last but not least, it's equipped with a chrono blink drive, which allows you to jump back to a previous position anything up to 20 seconds in the past. Playing the Execution is a bit like playing Tracer in Overwatch, except with really, really big cannons and missile launchers. What's not to like about that? So it all looks great, but what's actually going on here? Well, if you have a look at the map in the bottom right corner of the screen, you'll see 5 sectors: enemy base at the top, friendly base at the bottom, 2 lanes, left and right, each with capturable bases, and a central sector which is not yet open for capture, but when it is captured provides huge buffs for a limited duration to the team that controls it. And right now, the Executioner has been caught at close range by an enemy attack craft and disabled, so time to use that chrono blink, get out of there, and we're on very, very low health, so it's time to beat a hasty retreat. Ship, of course, is very vulnerable to fire while it's warping out, but made it. The Executioner activated its emergency jump back to home base, and while at the home base you can repair the ship's hull and pick up any upgrades if they're available. But you don't have to be at the home base in order to repair the hull of your ship or apply an upgrade. If you look at the map in the Alpha and Beta sectors, you'll see there are 2 larger bases at the northern and southern ends. Our Executioner is about to jump to one of those, where he's going to be able to repair his very, very badly damaged hull and apply one of 3 upgrades, either attack, defense or utility. And since the Executioner is a medium attack ship, he's going to press the B key and pick the attack upgrade. And you can see on the left hand side of the heads up display there in the center of the screen, that green bar is rising. That's the armor indicator of the ship. He's within the capture radius of the friendly base. His ship's been repaired for free. So with the ship upgraded to level 3, and the upgrades come from the resources that you gain from capturing these bases, and you can see what level of upgrade your ship has at the top of the screen here. For the moment, however, he's just spotted a sneaky enemy trying to stealth cap one of the mining bases, which is kind of unfortunate because the Executioner just activated the engine overdrive, but the enemy ship has jumped out. He didn't want to face an Executioner at short range. So instead, there's a friendly brawler up there engaging an enemy Reaper for possession of one of the other mining bases. Executioner missiles out. The Reaper looks like he's just activated his point defense systems. He managed to get a shot away with the Gauss cannons and do some damage before that guy could get into cover around the side of the asteroid, and he's going to be down before the Gauss cannons can reload, which is just as well, because there's another one turned up, and you can see that the armor on that ship on this side has taken a severe pounding, so he's going to be taking increased damage to attacks made on this side. Good hit there with a Gauss cannon, lots of damage. He's trying to turn the ship around. Gauss cannons are charging again. He's just going to have to take it on the chin, let them reload, and bang, there we go. Got him. Unfortunately, the friendly brawler got taken out, and fresh enemy ships are jumping in. Now, that's a Basilisk. The Basilisk is a light support ship, but it's a stealth support ship, and you can see him firing off his graviton anchors. Now, it can fire 4 of these from a magazine and then recharge, and the Executioner has just used the jump ability to get away from those graviton anchors, because the graviton anchors themselves don't actually do any damage. But if the Basilisk were to follow up its graviton anchors with a pulsar charge, you'd take a lot of damage, depending on how many of those graviton anchors you were affected by. Now, this does make the Basilisk difficult to play, but capable of doing a lot of damage if you play it well, and oh, that is not good, no. 2 to 1, armor's gone on the side, half health, time to get the hell out of here. Try to get some of these asteroids between ourselves and the ships that are shooting at us, and jump the hell out. Ship's almost dead. And yeah, oh well. You'll notice that the central sector is now online. This is the Gamma sector. It's not available for capture in the same way that the other mining stations in Alpha and Beta sector are available for capture. Instead, it's only available for a very limited period of time at regular intervals throughout the game. And the team that controls Gamma gets big combat buffs for a very limited duration. So it's always worth going for Gamma wherever possible, unless of course your base is under attack. Meanwhile, the Executioner has just respawned. It's not game over if your ship gets knocked out in fractured space, although the more your ship gets knocked out, the longer the respawn is. The game keeps going until one of the 2 teams' home bases has been captured. And the only way to actually capture one of those home bases is to control one of the key stations in either Alpha or Beta that's closer to the enemy base. So, for example, checking the map out there, you can see that the 2 northernmost bases in Alpha and Beta are both coloured red. The enemy team control them, so nobody has access to the enemy base yet. Right now, however, everybody's fighting out for control of Gamma Station. Whenever Gamma is available for conquest, you can guarantee a massive slugging fest right in the centre of the map here. Enemy ships are dropping left, right and centre. This is good. Oh crap, another one. Not so good. Missiles away, Gauss cannons up. Oh, he's taking a ferocious pounding. Yeah, he's going down as well, no question about it. Blinked out just in case. Fresh enemy ship spotted. And he seems to be spooling up his jump drive. Yep, he's had enough. He doesn't like these odds. No point in continuing to fight for Gamma because the capture window has closed. Nobody managed to get control of the central station, at least now. So, how about that enemy base? Skipping ahead a few minutes to when the team are about to take control of one of those key stations. Enemy ship coming in there, trying to delay the capture, but the friendly ship who's capping has managed to deploy a defensive field and get the bulk of the station between him and the defender, and he's too late. They've captured it, which has now unlocked the enemy base for the team, and the executioner is jumping out, and that is the enemy base. Now, you capture the enemy base in exactly the same way that you capture any of the other stations. You just get inside the capture radius. However, it's a bit harder because the enemy base can look after itself. It's ringed by gun and missile turrets. Now, you might be asking yourself, well, what's to prevent a team from just all going mob-handed all the way down one sector, take over the key station, jump straight into the enemy base and win the game within minutes? Well, it's these gun and missile stations that prevent that from happening. You need to farm resources and upgrade your ships so you can withstand the firepower of these station defences. And that's why it's important to control all of the other mining stations in Alpha and Beta sector, or as many as possible, so that you can get your ships upgraded and give yourself a fighting chance for when you do actually get into the enemy base. As you can see, there are a lot of these gun and missile turrets, and when you're circling the enemy base like this, all of the armour on one side of your ship is taking the battering, and that means you're going to be taking increased damage from these gun and missile turrets. If your ship hasn't been upgraded, you just wouldn't be able to withstand that kind of firepower. Of course, the enemy team are unlikely to just be sitting around waiting for you to cap their base out. They're all going to be rushing back to defend, which is difficult for the attacking team because you've got to deal with the gun and missile turrets of the base itself, as well as all of the enemy defenders who are coming in. So it's unlikely that you're going to successfully capture the enemy base the first time you get in there. But you're going to take out a lot of those gun and missile turrets and make it much more likely that you're going to succeed in a second attack. So those are the basic game mechanics of Fractured Space. The game is not, of course, completely without its issues. Most of those issues are down to the fact that this is, of course, a multiplayer game. And I've often said that the best and worst thing about a multiplayer game is that there are other players in them. It doesn't matter how stupid the AI of any given game is, I guarantee you I will always be able to find a player that makes the AI look like a genius. Having said that, however, Edge Case games have taken some steps to address these kind of issues. For a start, the matchmaker is governed by your matchmaking rating. It's an indication of how many games you've played and how well you've done in those games, and the matchmaker will always try to match you up with other players of a similar level. So you don't get in Fractured Space what happens in other games where vastly more experienced players trick out ships full of premium ammunition and consumables and jump into low tier games and just ruffle stomp all the newbies. Experienced players in Fractured Space play against other experienced players. Of course, there's nothing to stop anybody from just going ahead and creating a new account and ruffle stomping that way, but there's only so much that Edge Case games can do to level the playing field for everybody. My single biggest issue with Fractured Space, however, and again it was player related, when I was playing through the early access there was a tendency that when one team started losing, players would start to quit out and look for another game. Now, as you can imagine, when you only have 5 players on a team, if one of them quits out, you've just lost 20% of your firepower, and this makes it extremely unlikely that a losing team is ever going to win when players start quitting on you. What happened during early access was that players who were sitting in the queue waiting for a battle would get dropped in as a reinforcement to the losing team. I don't know about you, but it's not a lot of fun joining a game that you're losing before you've even started playing. This, of course, was only a temporary solution. What Edge Case games have done now with the game going live is that they've introduced the AI reinforcement feature. if people start quitting out, and you can't stop people from quitting out, they're going to Alt F4 if they have to, if they really don't want to carry on with a losing team. But you will now start getting AI reinforcements, and the AI is never going to quit on you. Now, these AI captains are quite a new thing for Fractured Space, and the first iteration of the AI is, well, it's not as good as a good player, but it's 100% better than a player who just refuses to play. So it's a step in the right direction at least, and I do hope that they continue to refine the capabilities of these AI captains, because it's allowed them to introduce something brand new to Fractured Space as the game goes live and out of early access, and that's co-op battles. You now have the option to play solo with a team consisting of AI captains against another team consisting of AI captains, or play co-op against AI captains, as well as the regular random conquest battles that we're watching here in the Executioner. Another new feature, which is very, very nice, is the ability to try these ships out before you take them into battle against other players. This, for example, is the latest ship to be introduced into Fractured Space. It's a carrier, it's the Paragon. It comes with a bunch of fighters and a bunch of bombers which you can use to defend yourself and attack enemy ships. And I've never played a carrier before, and I had absolutely no idea what to do. But thanks to this new try before you play feature, I was able to take the Paragon onto a static firing range, and it is just a static firing range. You can spawn ships in front of you at various different ranges and test out your weapon systems against them, and it's absolutely ideal for getting to grips with the new ship that you haven't played before, because all of these ships are very, very different from each other. And while you've always been able to read the descriptions of the ship and the various different systems in the hangar and check through the options and so on, reading about it and actually doing it are two completely different things. And thanks to this firing range system, the first time you do it doesn't have to be when you're going to get it horribly wrong and embarrass yourself in front of a team of other players. And so that's basically what I'm doing here. I've just gotten myself the Paragon, I've never played it before, taken it in the firing range, get to grips with the ship's systems. We've got a bunch of fighters, which are obviously useful for defending the carrier against enemy bombers and drones, but you can also use them to overwhelm the point defense systems of the targets that you want to follow up with a strike from your bombers. And my bombers have just scored a hit on that displacer that I've spawned over there, so I'm going to soften up his side armour again with the miniguns, wait for the bombers to recharge. In fact, I'm going to send the fighters in. Now, if this was a real opponent, well, I wouldn't be engaging him at this kind of range, but the fighters can be used to keep his point defense systems busy if he's foolish enough to use them against the fighters. As you can see, the fighters are not doing a huge amount of damage, and with the bombers recharging, I'm now going to send the bombers in to finish him off. Obviously this is no challenge whatsoever. He's not manoeuvring, he's not firing back. It's very, very easy, but you want the first time you get to grips with the system of a new ship to be very, very easy, not very, very hard when they are manoeuvring and they are firing back at you. And that's exactly what the firing range is for. It really is astonishing to see how far Fractured Space has come since I first went to see it, before it even went into early access, when I visited Edge Case Games Studios in Guildford here in the UK. Now, obviously, I'm recommending Fractured Space. I mean, I'm friends of the CEO. Of course I'm going to recommend his game. But like I said, it's easy to say good things about Fractured Space because there are so many good things about it. And again, you don't have to take my word for it. Fractured Space just won the Best Multiplayer Online Battle Arena Game of Show at PAX West, and there are 72% positive reviews on Steam, of over 6,000 reviews since this game went into early access around about a year ago. And even if you think there's some kind of massive conspiracy between all of the Steam reviewers, me, and the Penny Arcade Expo, and you still don't trust us, well, try it and have a go for yourself. It's free to play, all it's going to cost you is time. And if the idea of Battlestar Galactica slipping a Mickey into the drink of League of Legends and taking it home for a threesome with Homeworld doesn't get your juices flowing, well, you're probably dead from the neck up anyway. Fractured Space, going live on Steam, 22nd of September. That's it for today, folks. Hope you enjoyed the video. Have a good weekend, and I'll catch you next time.